Hey everyone, Nick's Plays here, and today I'm going over my champion tier list in Legends of Runeterra. Pretty straightforward video. I'm just going to say my opinions on who the best to worst champions are and briefly why. I usually make deck guides, but I want to try something new. I'll make more deck guides this week, but let's just jump into it. I guess I'll just start with the top to bottom because it just seems straightforward. I'm not going to do the whole but I'll show you the top 5 last secretly, who's it going to be. I'll just make it straightforward. So best champion in the game, I think, is Trundle. Pretty crazy. Maybe not that crazy to some people, but people have been realizing quicker and quicker how good Trundle really is as a champion. I didn't initially think he was the best champion in the whole game. I mean, he seemed good. Especially when I first saw him revealed. When I first saw him revealed, I was like, this champion looks pretty good. But he wasn't really on my mind for best champion by any means. I think what makes him so good is there's a few things. One is that you can ramp into him, Warring Stones on 3, and then Trundle on 5 is a 4-6 stat line with regeneration. It's hard to beat, but it's mostly the Ice Pillar. I mean, the Ice Pillar is pretty insane. You can play it on turn 8 or whatever for 8 mana, and it just gives you a 0-8 blocker, but it also acts as a free open pass, which means when you just pass your action and let your opponent do something, but you basically get to play a huge blocker that also passes back to your opponent to see what they do, and then it also gives things vulnerable return. It's just so much value for free, and I feel in the decks he's just perfect for the decks he's in, the stall decks. He's perfect in War Mother's decks and the ramp decks to just stall the game down and then get to the win count at the end. Basically, him and the War Pillar, wow, him and the Ice Pillar are perfect in those decks to stall. Make it to the big game, and he can be ramped through pretty easily. So he just gets a lot of value. Probably honestly just the most value. Generically good value out of one champ. But anyways, next is Aurelion Sol. They did say they're changing this card's level condition next patch in a few days. But for now, I think he's second best in the game. You just have to make the turn 10, and you win. A lot of the time, pretty much, you pretty much just win. He's just a 10-10 that has Spell Shield. Every turn he generates a card that's a game-winning card. When he's leveled up, they all cost 0. Really good with ramp. Trundle and Aurelion Sol are, I think, the 2 best champions, and there's one deck with them together. It's tier 1. You just ramp. Trundle holds down the mid game. You ramp Aurelion Sol. He's just really strong. I won't go over anything too long. So third is Lucian. Card's amazing. Just got buffed, and he's so powerful. It says 6 here, but he actually costs 4 now. And yeah, just a 4 drop that can get barrier and challenger, and if you give him overwhelm when he's leveled up, he just kills people in 1 turn. Just very generically good. The thing is, you have to build a whole deck around him a lot of time, which is what makes him fair. But I think it's a top 7 deck. He's really good. His individual power level. This whole tier list is kind of it's not really I have a guide or a basis on a rubric on what I put as S, A, B, C. It's more I just feel this way. And I'll explain more if it's more based on the deck or the champion, but this is a mixture of they're this good in their deck, or I just think that they have potential individually to be so good. But yeah. Twisted Fate, so good. Yeah, just generically good. Amazing with the red card to deal damage to clear an enemy's entire field. The gold card's good against certain decks, against Fiora and stuff, to stun them. He's just versatile, and if you level him up, you'd pretty much instantly win, so it's genetically good. So these cards all have top tier decks. Next, these two are a bit different. Kind of could be controversial, but I have Karma as 5th. Karma's not really played that much right now, and I can see why people would put her a lot lower, but I just feel she has huge potential, as a card, and there's just not really a deck for her right now that brings it out. Karma Ezreal, before Ezreal was nerfed, she was insane. She's kind of an auto win button a lot of time. But she doesn't really have the deck right now. It's hard for me to put her any lower. In this current metagame, I could definitely see her a lot lower. But I just think that she has insane potential, and it's hard for me not to see her being a top 5 champion. And yeah, just when you play, you win. I don't know what to say. She's really good. It's just not a deck for her now. Next is Sejuani. Also doesn't really have a deck for her right now. I mean, there was Sejuani Gangplank that got nerfed, and then there's Ashe Sedge deck also got nerfed, so she's also not in a tier 1 deck right now. Ashe Sedge is still decent, but this card is too individually good. I mean, It costs 6 and it freezes something and it gives it vulnerable. It's level up's amazing. It's very well rounded. Couldn't see it out of the S tier. Next we have A plus tier. We have Gangplank. Gangplank is a lot of people maybe even put him higher. It's funny because in the past people thought he was like very low ranked, but now he's very good because he can like clear an entire enemy's field. He pushes huge damage if you play him in the burn, you put him in the mid range. He's a lot of pressure. He's a win con by himself. He's fairly easy to level up in the decks that level him up. So you can just have this champion who is easy to level up, and when you play him, like it definitely could be close to a win. His ability can like get rid of the blockers on 5 to get like huge board swings, and he has Overwhelm. He plays the Keg when he summons, so that could be used with like Noxian Fervor and Sleep with the Fishes and all kinds of stuff. So Gameplay's just really good right now. To like, because like the petty officer can put on so much pressure that they barely get to like breathe, and then by 5 you just drop this bomb and win the game. So even he's not leveled up, a lot of time he's really good. So yeah, pretty good. Next is Misfortune, kind of similar. Sometimes people play Gameplay and Misfortune together. Insanely good, 3-drop, 3/3 that when you attack deals 1 to all battling enemies. Very hard to deal with. A win condition by itself in Scouts. And just well-rounded. I mean, there's not really much downsides to Misfortune. I like her a lot as a card. She's just pretty well-rounded. 3/3 that has an amazing effect. And when you level up, she can win. She's pretty hard to level up. She only really can level up in Scouts, and it's only sometimes it happens. But even her base form is really good. Next I have Lux. Lux is very strong. She has barrier comes down, which is good, but it's mostly the final spark she creates. She's been in tier 1 decks multiple formats in a row, including this one. One of the best decks in the game is Aurelion Soul Lux. And she's a key part to it, and I think that Lux usually always is very good. Just being able to generate final sparks and steal a 4 overwhelm to units over and over again for free is amazing. Next I have Swain. A lot of people say they rate Swain higher. I could see that. But yeah, Swain Twisted Fate's a tier 1 deck. The win con is Swain all the time. You play Leviathan, and then Swain's gonna be leveled up. So Leviathan plus Swain is a win, and I think that's very good. And the thing is, I don't think his base form is very strong a lot of the time, and he's a lot stronger with Leviathan. Without Leviathan, he's definitely a lot weaker. So I just said the same thing twice, but it's like he's reliant on Leviathan. They don't go hand in hand. I do consider Leviathan when I'm putting Swain in the tier list, but I just feel with his base form not being crazy strong, and you need to draw Leviathan more so than drawing Swain, I think that I put him here. I can see people putting him higher, but that's justifying why I put him here. He's still really high. The thing is, like, he's still A+ tier. It's amazing. Next I have Diana. I think very highly of Diana. I mean, I think she's absolutely amazing. She's a 2-drop with Quick Attack and Challenger, which is really good. And her champ spell is Spell Cascade, which is one of the best cards in all Targon. And when she levels up, she can get extremely high attack really fast, and she can take down huge threats. Like plenty of times I'll play Diana, and you can kill like the Lux or the Swain or like Lee Sin, like Trundle. Like you can kill things that I have like Gangplank. You can easily get her attack so strong. So I think for a 2-drop, she sees so much value. I mean, certain hands in the early game, she could like not be able to be activated. But if you're playing a Nightfall deck, which is kind of where I assume she goes, it's pretty much like it's easier in a full Nightfall deck. But in a full Nightfall deck, she can easily level up, easily get a challenger, and just so much value. Very good card. Next we got Kalista. Kalista's very, very good. Her level up form is phenomenal. She's not too hard to level up, but you play her in like Vayu and Dur decks, and when she's leveled up, she attacks. She summons the strongest ally that died previously this game, and it blocks for her and takes damage for her. So when you have her leveled up, you have a fearsome 5/4 for 3 that is pushing more damage, and it's hard to kill. So she's a very, very good card. I think previously, like when Dur was at its peak, people would probably put her in top 5 for sure. But I think she'll sing here. Next, I have Nocturne. A bit controversial. A lot of people don't think Nocturne's very good. I think he's amazing. I mean, this card is phenomenal. Like without this card, Nightfall is not even a deck. Honestly, like he's like the whole, like he's like he makes the deck 10 times stronger. And basically, like when he's not leveled up, you just get to give something vulnerable, make their whole field -1 attack, get huge swings with fearsome, but he's actually pretty easy to level up. I think that's a common misconception to me, at least. It's like, I mean, maybe people try and play mix that aren't Nightfall. I don't recommend that because there's not really like you can't reliably level them up outside of Nightfall. But I'm assuming I'm putting them in Nightfall, right? You can level them up so easily, like it's so easy. Like you just attack with like 2 things, and then next turn you attack with like 3 things, and he's leveled up. He counts for himself on level up. Like you can have like even sometimes I have like 1 out of 5. So he levels up by 5 Nightfall units attacking. I'll attack with like Stygian Onlooker early in the game. Then like 2 turns later, I'll have a board full of Nightfalls and I'll attack, and then he leveled up. And you just kill people in 1 turn. I mean, you need that. He's a win con. To kill people in 1 turn is absolutely insane. I've had wins in the turn 5 sometimes. And I think that he's just extremely powerful, and you have to know how to play him correctly. You really want to hold him until he can level up. You don't play him like early that much, but he's a huge bomb, a huge win con, does amazing versus Bilgewater, so I don't really have many ways to stop him. And I just think that he's definitely an A+ champion. I mean, I think Nightfall is a top 5 deck, and I think that he's one of the best cards in Nightfall, so simple as that. Next I have Fiora. Could go higher, actually. 3/3 Challenger, that's a win con. When she kills 4 units, you win the game. So, by battle. So, just 3/3 Challenger is really hard to beat. I mean, that puts on so much pressure, especially the win con attached to it. And even just a smaller thing, if she kills 2 units, she becomes a 4/4. So then you have like a 3/3 Challenger for 3 that gets stronger, and if it's backed up by like the barrier spells that Elotics run and can like turbo out the 4 kills with single combat Surge Strike, very easily becomes a huge threat that you have to deal with, kind of like a mini game. Like you have to deal with Fiora or you lose because she'll get the 4 kills and then you instantly win. So yeah, I think Fiora is definitely an A+ champ. I mean, I think the fact that she's a 3/3 Challenger for 3 by itself already makes me think that she's A+, just because that's a really good role in Demacia decks, and it's just amazing in so much of the meta, being able to rip apart people's early game. I think Fiora is I think Fiora could even go higher than this, but it's just me. Next we have Leona. At first, like, I thought Leona could go higher, but then you really think about it, I don't know, when I play against her, she feels like somewhat underwhelming. Not saying she's bad, she's top of 8 tier, which is very high, but she doesn't do too much outside of her like Daybreak summon. To level her up, you need to be playing a full Daybreak deck, which is what you do, of course, but I feel like you need Raven to get like full potential out of her, which kind of makes her reliant on other cards. Raven being the 5/5 for 5 Daybreak unit. I'll try Leona out probably later this week and try to find more with her, but yeah, I don't know, I just feel other champions are stronger, like in the A+ tier, but she's good. 4/6 is pretty good stats. I mean, health is always, high health is very good in this game. And she's a unit that when leveled up kind of becomes like a continuous spell in a way, where it's like you can keep playing Daybreak units, then you just keep stunning things. They can hold on the mid game, puts a good halt on the mid game. I think one of the biggest things that makes her good though is that all the Daybreak cards are so good. Like Slayer Soldier's so good, Slayer Shield Bearer, Slayer Priestess, Raven. I mean, they're all amazing, right? So to level her up, it's like you're going out of your way. You're just playing good cards, and then she levels up, and then she keeps stunning things, and it makes her stats even stronger. She's +1/+1 when she levels up, so I think that top of 8 tier makes sense to me. Next I have Draven. This card's so good. 3/3 quick attack for 3 that adds an axe to your hand on summon and on attack. An axe is just a 0 cost spell that you discard a card and get something +1 attack for the round, but it can be used for discards like Rummage and other discard effects, and it counts for spell counters like Lee Sin. And I think Draven's just so well rounded. I could not see Draven like ever, in my opinion, being lower than A tier. He's so darn well rounded. I mean, he's been tier 1 decks multiple formats, and yeah, 3 quick after 3 that generates cards. That's really good. I mean, that's amazing. He's versatile champ. He can be played in aggro because it's hard to block him on 3 because many things can't deal with a 3/3 quick attack. And he can also be played in like control decks. There's Draven Ezreal that generates the axes with Draven to use for Ezreal. So that's pretty cool. Speaking of Ezreal, next week Ezreal. Normally I'd put him as the best champ in the game, or like top 5, but he recently got nerfed. His level up requirement went from 8 to 10. I think at some point this card would be nerfed. It's weird because now, like in this current state, before he was nerfed like a few weeks ago, it was actually the weakest Ezreal's ever been, and he's been tier 1, if not the best deck in the entire game for many formats. But right now, Ezreal's He's solid A tier. I couldn't see him. There's no way he's lower than A tier. He's too good. He kills people from 20 to 0 in one turn. Burst spells or burst. You can use burst spells to do 2 to your opponent. You can burst speed to kill people. He's historically been the best champ in the game for the majority of this game's time, but we're now having A tier. Next, you have Heimerdinger. I actually think this champ I could easily see going higher, maybe even S tier. But right now, he didn't just get buffed, but a card that goes alongside with him, Flash of Brilliance, just got buffed, which generates a turret for free, basically. But yeah, so Heimerdinger was the best deck in the game for a while, too. These two were big culprits for best deck in the game for many formats. Like, this one has been tier 1 decks, but these have been, like, the best deck in the game. Like, one of the best decks in the game was Draven with Ezreal. But anyways, it was a long time ago. But anyways, Heimer, he can generate potentially infinite cards that cost 0 for free. So that, I mean, that's powerful. I mean, they used to be elusives. He got nerfed now. Basically his 3-cost turret. When you use a spell with Heimer on the field, you get a turret accommodating to the spell. So a 3-cost turret is a fearsome turret, 3/1. If you play a 4-cost spell, you get, when the Heimer's on the field, you get a costing 0. You get a 0-cost 4/1 turret. You play a 5-cost spell, you get a 0-costing 5/1 turret, and all different keywords. Used to be elusives for 3, and 3 is the most common spell cost used with him, but now they're fearsome. And he's still very good. I mean, again, generating infinite 0-costing cards is powerful. A lot of decks, if they can't deal with him instantly, then the card advantage he generates is way too powerful, and it's hard to come back from. And I can see him make a comeback, and maybe even being higher. Next, we have Ashe. Ashe is really good. People used to think Ashe is, like, very bad. She's very good. Her champ ability is when she attacks, then it frostbites an enemy, but when she's leveled up, enemies with 0 attack can't block. And she has that ability also when she levels up, it gives a crystal air on top of the deck. It's not that complicated, but when I'm reading it out, it sounds very complicated. It basically freezes your entire enemy field and draws a card. So she's a win con. She's a 4-cost win con, but so like when you level her up, you can freeze their whole field and then attack and they can't block. So she's a win con by herself. And even earlier game before she's leveled up, you can use her with like challengers like Rhymefang Wolf and Teferi Glory Seeker to just frostbite their units and then kill them for free with the challengers. So well-rounded, very good. Decent mid-game and during advantage, and then a win con in the end. Next we have Metalis. It's hard to rank Metalis and Maokai because they're both only really played in deep, but so it's like in their individual champion powers. So like they're probably like the best champs in the game, but the deep comes with its own flaws. But I'd still put them like right here. I think Metalis is 13/13 for 7 with tough at discounts. Sea monsters. Best champ spell in the entire game. Good to note. Metalis is Riptide. Riptide, not that good by itself. Just stuns the unit for 4. Really not that good. But when you have Metalis on the field, Riptide actually shuffles the unit that you target in the deck instead. And that, since it's Metalis' Riptide, the champ spell, means you have target Metalis in the field. It always just shuffles the unit in the deck for 4. So I think it's the best champ spell in the game. Maokai's, I'll just go to, this champion's like really good in deep. He's an amazing champion. He's only in deep. Maokai is really only played in deep too. Some people play him in like ephemeral decks maybe, but I just put these both in here for the deep. Maokai's insane in deep. He's absolutely amazing in deep. He lets you go deep so fast, controls the game with the saplings, an alter win condition by my deck. Put them both here. Next we have Lulu. Okay, I think Lulu's insanely good. There's not really a deck that utilizes Lulu to her full potential. I mean, her ability is so good. You support an ally and make it to a 4/4 when you level up a 5/5, and then she generates you a spell when she's leveled up each round start that can either make an opponent vulnerable or make an ally a barrier. I think Lulu's so unbelievably good. I kind of want to explore Lulu more, but there's just really decks for hers right now. Maybe when more cards come out, there'll be better decks for her. They just nerfed War Chefs, which is a support unit in Demacia that she was commonly paired with, so she got a bit weaker too. I just think that this champion has so much potential, even to be higher too. It's just, there's not really a great deck for her. It's kind of like Karma. Amazing champion, not a great deck for her. But I put Lulu in A tier. Very good. Next is Zed. Zed's a powerhouse. On 3, a lot of decks can't deal with Zed. Zed's insanely good versus aggro. Has been used alongside elusives a lot of time to put on huge pressure on 3. I just think that if you can't deal with Zed on 3 when he attacks, it can be game winning by itself. Zed is just so unbelievably powerful. The thing is, he's kind of like a glass cannon because he does die to just Mystic Shot, or he's definitely manageable. But it's what, like, half the time you can deal with him, half the time you can't. Depends on the matchup, but he loses pretty hard to PNC and decks with like Ezreal decks and stuff because they can just use removal spell and then he's gone, and that's bad because you're using, like, let's say they Mystic Shot, which is a 2 costing, deal 2 damage to a unit, right? If you play Zed for 3 mana and they use a 2 mana kill spell to kill it, then you spend 3 mana to lost to a 2 mana card, so you're down in value. You're down in mana because they use less mana to kill Zed than he costed. So that's not good. That's where his flaw comes in. But his strength is they don't kill him, which is a lot of the time in a lot of matchups, like regular, just like, you know, mid-range unit-based matchups. So when Zed attacks the 3-2 quick attack, it summons another 3-2 ephemeral. It's like a shadow. And basically, in short, just decks that can't deal with him. If he resolves his effect, he's amazing. He puts on a lot of pressure. He's very, very hard to deal with in a normal deck and can just be game-winning on 3 if you can't deal with him. So, yeah. Let's put Elise. Elise used to be considered the best 2-drop in the game. I don't know who is now. Haven't really thought about it, but yeah. She's a 2-3. Her base form's insanely good. This is one of the main reasons she's so good. Her base form's phenomenal. She's a 2-3 fearsome. When she attacks someone, it's a spider. That's putting a lot of damage, so let's say they can't block the fearsome, because 2-3 is pretty good stats. Then they have to block the spider, and you just get the 2 in, and then the spider damages their unit for 1. And in decks like Thehuender is a 7-cost card. It says, give me +1/+1 for every ally died this game, and it also has Overwhelm, which does piercing damage through enemies' health or defense. And she's very good. She racks up the kills when the spiders die. When she levels up, she gives all your spiders Fearsome and Challenger, so you get to hook their units that can block the spiders and then attack all the rest of them directly. She gains 2 attack. She becomes a 4/3. She's very good in aggro. She's just well-rounded. I mean, 2 mana is pretty low mana cost, right? And to get a fearsome, a 2/3 fearsome that summons a spider that also, when it levels up, can be a win condition, very, very good value for a 2-drop. Next we have Darius. A lot of people think Darius is lower. I don't want to say, I hope I'm not biased, but I play a lot of Darius. I think he's amazing. He's a 6/5 with Overwhelm. When the enemy Nexus is at 10 health or lower, he becomes a 10/6 with Overwhelm. Overwhelm, again, being that he does damage. Like, if he has 10 attack and something has, let's say, Elise has 3 health, he just damage to the Nexus. He does his damage through their defense to the Nexus, and I think that he's a staple, and a lot of the best aggro in the entire game, in the game's history, like Darrowing or aggro spiders, which was Elise and Darius together. He's just been an absolute win con. He's been like a focal point. Like without Darius, the deck just wouldn't be able to deal much damage. I mean, I played so many games, more so in past formats though, where he's the only card that can do what he can do. He's the only card that on 6 can deal 7 damage to an enemy, and like through the defense, and he kills the unit. So I just feel Darius is insanely powerful. I really do, and I feel he's a focal point in a lot of the best aggro's in the game, and he makes the deck. I think he makes the aggro decks in a lot of decks. So he's one of the most damaging cards in the whole game, if not a lot of time. Like, could do the most damage on 6 in the whole game. So I think it's good. Next is Vi. Vi is actually extremely low, like, for how I regard her. I would love to put her like up here. Doesn't really have too many decks for her right now. Maybe the Vi Heimerdinger come back, but Vi used to be like top 3 champion in the game. Some people used to think maybe she was the best or like up here. They nerfed Vi. Since then, I still thought she was like top 5, top 10, but just lately that's been main decks for her. But very good. I mean, it's a 2/4 challenger with tough. Every time you use a spell, she gains more attack, and I just think that she's a good 5-drop that can get very favorable trades. Becomes a win condition. When she levels up, she has a stagnant attack, and when she attacks, she deals 5 damage to enemy Nexus. When she strikes a unit, she deals 5 damage to enemy Nexus. Good challenger. Can get a lot of good value, good trades with her. Can be win con. Very good. Next is Thresh. Hard to level up. He's a 3/6 challenger for 5. I don't think that's that great. Can lose the Calling Strike. He's decent. People don't really play Calling Strike enough. He's good. He's a pretty good champion. Definitely like a solid B tier at the worst, because just being a 3/6 challenger is a unique stat line that certain decks can't deal with. When he levels up, next time he attacks, one time only, he summons a challenger from your deck, which is absolutely amazing. People try to pair him with Aurelion Soul to summon Aurelion Soul, like cheat him into the field. The issue with his level up is not that reliable. It's kind of hard to pull off, but I think Thresh is very good, and I'd love to see Thresh do even more things because he's a unique champion. But yeah, I think he's B tier, pretty solid. Next we have Quinn. People think Quinn's a lot lower rated, She's only a 3/4 that someone's a 2/1 with Scout. It's really not that much value for a 5-drop, but the deck she's in is what makes her good. She was the highest win rate champion in the game earlier this season with the Scout deck. She's the main focal point of the Scout deck. She has Scouts. She gets leveled up by things attacking, which is what Scouts do. I think she's basically not carried by Misfortune, but when paired with Misfortune, she's insanely strong, and I can't go overlook that. When you pair the Misfortune, she's like a win condition, which is, it's not that hard to get them both out. I mean, you play her on 3, you play her on 5. And being the highest win rate champion in the game for like a solid portion of this format at least lands B tier. Like individually, she's a lot lower, but in the deck she's in was a tier 2-ish deck. A tier 2, some people think tier 1 deck, and yeah, at least B tier. Next we have Shen. She can maybe go high, I don't know. He gets Sling Barrier. When he attacks, support now, give a barrier. Really good with Fiora. Fiora Shen's, people are making arguments for it to be a tier 1 deck this format. I think it's tier 2. But definitely on the rise. Could be tier 1. Who knows? Pretty good, but without Fiora, he's a lot weaker. And I don't think he's crazy strong, but still solid B tier. Next we have Jinx. Jinx is interesting. She used to be like one of the worst champions in the game. Nothing changed with her, really. I mean, they made her rocket cost 1 less, her level up. But they buffed the discard cards, and they buffed her deck archetype, and I think Jinx is a huge win con and can definitely pop off. So, B tier. It's hard to say why I think things are B tier. They're just good. Jinx is good. She's good. She's literally, you build a Hulk around her, and she's amazing in those decks. Next we have Garen. Garen used to be like S tier. Remember back in the beta, Garen was one of the best decks in the game. Now he's just a lot more average. He's played in elites. He gives Rally. I honestly think individually, like, it's hard to gauge this tier list because it's partially about their decks and partially about individual strength. He doesn't really have a good deck right now. Elites are okay, but individually I'd put him maybe higher. I don't know. But yeah, he's well-rounded. He's pretty straightforward champion. 5/5 generation for 5. That levels up, gives Rally. His level up is really strong. It's not hard to achieve either. Maybe I'll try more Garen later. Next we have Lucian. 3/2 quick attack. Generally good. If you get Lucian and Senna together and Senna dies, then he levels up, which is a huge win con. He gives you Rally when a unit dies the first mage round. The B tier. I guess I'll go through the lower tiers a bit quicker. It's kind of hard. It's easier to justify like why I think something's strong than why I think it's average. Next we have Tarik. Okay, I can actually explain Tarik. Okay, Tarik is pretty strong, levels up. I mean, very good with Pale Cascade, because like, so Tarik's ability is when you support ally, give it tough, and then whatever the last spell you use on only Tarik, like usually a buff spell like Elixir of Wrath or like Pale Cascade, he also does that. He casts it on his support ally. When he levels up for the round, the support ally can't take damage or die, and himself, which sounds very good, right? But he needs to be leveled up by supporting and targeting allies 7 times. The reason I only think he's C tier is because I think he's very reliant on other cards and very easy to stop from leveling up. So like, he can get on a roll and level up pretty fast sometimes, but most of the time he can lose to stuns, he can lose to removal spells. He's only a 2/4 for 4, which isn't really like, you know, it's very understated. It's because his ability is so good, but his stats by himself aren't that great. The thing is, you can kill him, you can kill that unit they wanted to target. A lot of times, even just having a decent stat line enough to threaten him to not want to attack because you can just block him. And yeah, he's just very preventable with most interaction. I mean, you can stop him in all kinds of different ways. So I think that lands him in C tier. Next we have Tryndamere. Actually in a tier 1 deck right now. Debatably top 3 decks in the whole game. War Mothers. Tryndamere's traditionally been one of the weaker champions in the game. I mean, he's always been good. I think people underrate Tryndamere, but individually he's definitely only in C tier. Hush coming out makes him a lot weaker too, but the thing is, you play him in War Mother call decks where you cheat him into the field. You don't just play him for 8 mana. You do sometimes, but War Mother says it costs 12 cost spell this turn, and every round start summon a top unit from your deck, and you can just summon like Tryndamere, or like multiple Tryndameres, and he's just a huge bomb that can be summoned. Still lands in C tier, but being a tier 1 deck, like, I couldn't put him in the bottom tier. I think he's good. Next we have Fizz. He's very good, but Hush being printed, which silences champions and units, kind of screws them. I still think he's C tier. Normally I would have maybe put him higher. I think last format I thought very highly of him in an elusive deck with Twisted Fate that I made, but put him around here. He's still good. Just if they have Hush, he's a lot weaker. So it's hard to like. Again, the reason like it's only one card that stops him that hard, but it's a very popular card. It's one of the most popular cards in the whole game. So he's kind of hard to get off reliably. Next we have Teemo. A lot of people underrate Teemo. I'm not saying he's crazy high, but he's pretty good. I think every champion's good, to clarify. It's hard to rank the champions. Even the D tier champions, I think, are pretty good. Well, even the C tier champions, I think, are pretty good. Some of the D tier champions, I think, are good too. But he's a 1 cost. He's a 1/1 elusive who puts mushrooms in your opponent's deck, and those mushrooms can do a lot of damage. Relatively easy level up. You can summon multiple of him off Kinky Wayfinder, Ionia Allegiance card that summons one cost cards from your deck, 2 1-cost cards from your deck. You want someone double Teemo like that, it's really good in elusives. I think Teemo makes a lot of damage, a lot of value for a 1-drop. I think he only costs 1. People say, oh, how do you about Teemo? I'm like, I wouldn't. I mean, he gets a lot of value. He's a good 1-drop, like a really good 1-drop. So I think Teemo's pretty good. Especially with Yasuo. I think Yasuo individually is a really good card. It's just like his deck's not that good. I love Yasuo, to clarify. Like, I try to make Yasuo decks like all the time. I think when more champs come out, he's gonna be even better. But he's a 4/4 quick attack for 4, which is pretty good. And then when you stun a unit, he does 2 damage to it, which is pretty good, right? That's a pretty good card. I think Yasuo himself is like very good card. His deck is just full of cards that some of them aren't that great. I mean, the issue with Yasuo is that if you don't draw Yasuo, this is like the bane of Yasuo deck's existence. So Yasuo, when you stun at cards, he does 2 damage to them, right? And you can kill things and stun things, control the game, get a lot of value out of just doing 2 damage to all kinds of things. When you level up, he strikes them himself, so he does 5 damage to them, right? But if you don't draw Yasuo, and you draw your stun cards, it's a stun deck, and you play Yasuo usually, you're just stunning cards and then nothing's happening. Like you're stunning them and you're like losing cards because you're using cards to stun cards, but they just get unstunned next turn, and then you're just like losing a lot of card advantage because you're using cards that don't replace themselves or like really do much but stall the game. But with Yasuo, it kills them, and it's great. It's awesome. It's actually fantastic. But without Yasuo, you're just stunning cards and it's not really doing anything. So yeah, he's still here though. Hecarim. It's crazy playing Hecarim. Maybe I'm underrating Hecarim, but I don't know, man. He's a 5/5 now. I keep changing his stats. That summons 2/2s when he attacks. I mean, he's particularly good with Harrowing because the Harrowing can summon like multiple Hecarims and push big damage. He has Overwhelm. His level up is when he's seen, I think it's 7, like 6 or 7. They keep changing it too. Ephemeral's attack, he becomes a 6/6 and gives all Ephemerals +2 attack, or maybe even +3 attack. I think. That's just, I don't see him that commonly. I used to play Hecarim a lot. I like Hecarim. I love the Harrowing Hecarim decks, but he's hard to level up, and his base form has been nerfed, and he used to be the best champion. Okay, he was the original best champion in the game. When the game first came out in the closed beta and the open beta, before they ever first nerfed him, he used to be like a 4/6 that summoned 3/2s, and that's just a lot of like damage put in 3 different units. But now that the things he summons are 2/2s, summons these 2 ephemeral 2/2s, it's a lot less damage, and he just kind of seems underwhelming a lot of time. Still decent though. I think he's underrated, but I still put C tier, so maybe I don't. I don't know. He's good. Next we have Anivia. Hush and Obliterates this format that just came out. Both beat her pretty hard. She previously was a lot better, but now she's a 2/4 for 7 that you can just hush her and then kill her, and then she dies. Or obliterate her and kill her and then she dies. Which is fine. I honestly don't think Anivia is that healthy for the game. I think Braum was actually one of the least healthy cards in the game when he's good. So I'm fine with, if a champion needs to be D tier, I hope it's used to. As weird as that sounds. Every champion's good. They're not that bad, but let's just go to Braum. Braum, 4 cost, 0/6. This was his previous form, which was broken. Summons a Mighty Poro. So basically he's a 0/6 that when he takes damage, he summons a Poro. It's a 3/3. And he has regenerates, he heals back in the turn as challenger. Pretty well-rounded, pretty good. Vlad, 5/5 regeneration. See, the thing is, if you don't level him up, which is kind of hard to do sometimes, he's just a 5/5 with regen, which isn't that great. It's a good champ spell, transfusion. Levels up, he has this huge like damage output where he does 1 damage to all your own units, and then drains the enemy for each unit that you damage of each of your units. If you push a lot of damage, there's a lot of drain. I think Vlad's decent. It's just that it's hard to level up, and doing 1 to all your own units is pretty hard. I think he's good. I think his supporting cards aren't that good. Then last but not least, Katarina can be good in some Yasuo decks, but I like Katarina. I want her to be good. I really do. But she's just not. I mean, she's a 3/2 for 3, so it's already looking a bit rough. And then she gets a Blaze Edge in her hand, which you can use sometimes, which is just a 1 damage ping. It's fleeting. That's okay. But the issue is like when she attacks, she goes back to your hand, which is. which and then when you summon her again. Okay, so here, let me just break down Katarina. 3/2. When you summon her, when you attack, she goes back to your hand and levels up. And every time you summon her from then on, she has Rally, which is a very powerful effect. But the issue is that playing a 3-cost 3/2 that goes back to your hand at the end, it loses you a huge amount of tempo because the player gonna cost 4 again, and you're already down on board because you just played a card for 3 and then put it back to your hand. So it's just like she loses you a lot of tempo, and her chance spell is like one of the worst chance spells in the game. And it's Death Lotus. It's a card that during battle deals 1 to everything, 1 damage to everything that's battling. And it doesn't really make sense with Katarina. I think they just changed her chance spell to something else. I don't even know. One of the biggest issues is probably her chance spell. I mean, people don't even play multiples of her, really. She has some issues. I think she has potential, though. I think she's pretty darn good. Here's my video of champion tier list and Legends of Runeterra. Follow the Twitch. Follow the YouTube. I'll make that guys this week. See you guys later.